Hey, what is going on, guys? The silenced SMG has been added, and strangely, there's a purple variant that is not a direct upgrade from the blue. So in today's video, we'll do in-depth dive into the stats, and then we'll kind of look at the overall meta as a whole and help you decide if this is a weapon you should be carrying. I'll play some gameplay in the background using the silenced SMG so you can get an idea of what it looks like to play with. Okay, let's start out with the gray through blue, as these have linear stats, meaning the green is slightly better than gray, blue slightly better than green. It's what you would expect in general. They do 17 out of 19 damage, which is expected, 9 rate of fire, so that means 153 to 171 DPS. They have a 2.5x headshot multiplier, and they've got the expected reload, 2.2 to 2.0. No damage fall off with first shot accuracy, which is weird, but that's expected as the ARs have the same characteristic. Overall, that's expected. The DPS is quite low. I want you to remember that early in Season 1, the damage on the silenced SMG is a lot lower than it is in later seasons. You might remember it doing 22 to 24 damage. It's not even close. We're 5 damage down, which on an SMG is massive. Okay, let's take a look at the purple silenced SMG now, as it's got a very weird quirk. Okay, first off, it does a bit more damage, 23. Okay, that's pretty nice, but the rate of fire is cut down to 7.8, which isn't ideal. Other than that, though, the reload is expected 1.9, 0.1 seconds faster than the blue SMG, and the overall DPS is 179. But there is a big drawback to this, and this purple silenced SMG has damage fall off, which is really, really unfortunate, because that means at even medium range, you're going to be doing 10, 11, 12 damage, while even the gray silenced SMG is still doing the full 17 and firing at a faster rate. So, where does this put the purple silenced SMG against the other ones? Well, it's kind of tough, because at point blank, it is overall probably better. You have a little more DPS, but at the same time, the slightly lower rate of fire means it'll be a little harder to leak through walls. I don't think that's a huge disadvantage, though. At point blank, I'd say it's overall the best. But a little bit further out, you're going to have to do less DPS than even the gray silenced SMG. So I would say, I would take the blue silenced over the purple one, and I would contemplate taking the green over the purple, but I probably wouldn't take the gray over the purple. For the green, you're looking at about 17 DPS disadvantage, and the gray, you're looking at about 26. That's definitely noticeable, and although you'll do more range damage, you're probably better off with the AR at range anyway, so not the biggest deal. I really think that's going to be down to personal preference here. Do you prefer better close range ability or better ranged ability? If you like ranged fighting, you might want to take the lower rarity ones, but if you want to fight a point blank, take the purple one if you can find it. But honestly, as we're about to get to, I don't think this weapon is particularly amazing, so I don't think this is going to be the biggest deal to worry about. Now let's move on to how powerful is this weapon against the other SMGs, as well as the other weapons as a whole. So situationally, this weapon can be decent. With a 2.5x headshot, you can do in the 40s of critical damage, which means you can technically laser people if you get lucky and you have good aim. The problem is, if you ignore critical hits for a minute and just look at the raw DPS, 153, 162, 171, 179. That's lower than the ARs. If I go off the top of my head, it's gray is 165, green 171, 181 for blue, and 192 for purple. Every rarity, the silenced SMG has a lower DPS than its equivalent AR. That's not a good place for SMGs to be. SMGs, the whole point is to have a DPS advantage, so at point blank, you can laser people a lot faster than an AR. But this SMG is not going to do that unless you can hit several headshots in a row. Yes, it doesn't have damage fall off for the gray through blue, but the problem is this thing doesn't have exceptional bloom, so really I think the AR is going to be a better choice there. I just don't think this weapon is particularly good. If we compare it to the other SMGs, like the TAC SMG, DPS is roughly the same, sure. They both have the same mag size. TAC SMG shoots a little bit faster rate of fire-wise for a little less damage. It's honestly kind of a wash. I think both of them are not good. Are they the worst weapon in the world? Are they the scoped arrow, where I generally put it F tier? No, I don't think they're that bad, but they're not good either. If you really want to run an SMG, I think the OG SMG is a better option. OG SMG, yes, it burns ammo, and yes, it has a lot of bloom. But the OG SMG, at blue against blue, has 240 DPS, which is, let's think about it here, a 70 DPS advantage over the blue silenced. And it's got 5 more rounds in the magazine. So that thing can really shred at point blank if you can get close enough. So really, if you really need SMG, I think the OG SMG is a better option. If you don't want to run an SMG, well, I would recommend you just run double shotgun, in fact, unless you need the SMG, just run double shotgun. I just don't see a lot of use for this. It's not a good AR, it's not a good SMG. I just don't think it's particularly good in its current state. But this is kind of where I think it's at. I think in the future, though, when it gets buffed, I believe starting in Season 4, it can become a very competitive weapon. And maybe in Season 4, we'll be talking about how this thing can replace the Scar. As at one point, this thing was arguably better than the Scar. But at this point in time, unless it's your favorite weapon, I'd advise you avoid using it unless it's your only option. So with that, I hope this video was interesting, and I'll catch you in the next one.